So game sevens in any sport draw a lot of excitement, especially in hockey. But the Montreal Canadiens Toronto series is not drawing excitement for Toronto Maple Leaf fans. Is drawing dread and anger and fear and disappointment. Toronto is a much better team than my Habs this year. There's no way that series should have won 7 games. Toronto was up a well-deserved 3-1, but because they don't know how to finish off a series, they've not held a lead in the last 8 periods of the set, losing in back-to-back overtime games. Cook and the Army scoring in overtime with Montreal's only shot of extra time. So we enter Game 7. Now, we're not going to be talking about my predictions of Game 7 because hockey, just like a Northern New Brunswick highway, full of potholes and things you don't expect. But we're going to talk about the last time that Montreal and Toronto played in a 7-game NHL playoff series. Now, this set eventually decided who's going to win the Stanley Cup that year, but it wasn't in the finals, it was the semifinals. This was the infamous Game 7 where Dave Keon, the hero of Toronto that was unceremoniously pushed out of town by Harold Ballard in the 1970s, scored a hat trick against the Jean Beliveau-led Montreal Canadiens to win the deciding Game 7 of the semifinals, 3-1. Now, let me set this up a little bit about the Montreal Canadiens that year. They were the regular season champions despite having a lineup that a lot of the key players from the late 1950s and 60s 5-Cup run were gone. Players on the team included, Hickey and Watson and, other players that basically didn't have the killer instinct. Red Berenson as well. It wasn't Jean-Guy Talbot. It wasn't, like I said, a killer team. Beatable is what I'm saying. Now, Charlie Hodge was in net a very, very competent goalie, similar to a Michel Larocque in regarding to his what they call consistent play on the road and on the at home. Now, the whole game came down to the first period. Now, Dave Keon scored 2 goals in the opening 20 minutes, and the key goal, of course, was at 11:15 of the period where he scored shorthanded from George Armstrong, who was actually his 4th assist of the series to put Toronto up 2-0. Now, I talked to Jean Beliveau in Campbellton in 1980, and he mentioned to me about how Dave Keon, it may have been his best game that he saw him play. Now, Montreal did get one back midway point through the 3rd period, but Ralph Backstrom on a feed by Talbot and Hickey. But Keon basically rolled Montreal away late in the 3rd period on a feed from Armstrong and Kelly at 1949. Now, what did this victory meant? It was the last year of Toronto's 3 straight. They went on to defeat Detroit in the final, and technically they were the best money team of the mid-1960s. They deserved to win the series, despite the fact that everybody had favored Montreal to take the set. The Habs had won the first game of the series 2-0, with Toronto winning Game 2 2-1, then Montreal winning 3-2 at Maple Leaf Gardens. Toronto victorious 5-3 in Game 4. Montreal won at home 4-2. Then Toronto shut them out back in Maple Leaf Gardens, and then the loss to Toronto 3-1 in the final. Now, if I tell you this, when the whole series comes down to 2 goals instead of 3 or 4, this was a hard-fought series. But a difference for Toronto again, being Stanley Cup champions, to beat the man, you got to beat the man. Now, the whole of the 64 playoffs was quite interesting. Chicago and Detroit went to 7, with Detroit winning. Toronto and Detroit went to 7 in the finals, with Toronto winning again in 4 games in that famous Game 7. Now, it was kind of weird, ladies and gentlemen, that the final game played out as it did. Toronto was very dominant in Game 7 after winning Game 6 in overtime. Toronto was up against it in Game 5 after Detroit won 2-1 at Maple Leaf Gardens, but Detroit was an inch away winning the Cup. For some reason that year, Toronto was the money team for the whole association. Now, how does this apply to the 2021 Toronto-Montreal Game 7? Well, it doesn't really apply because neither team has a Dave Keon, neither team has a George Armstrong or a Jean Beliveau. It's basically the Toronto-Montreal sets of regular season of 2021 to playoff are millions and millions of miles away with the true rivalry that Montreal and Toronto had back in 1964 up until 67, because Toronto had Montreal's number back then. But there's no rivalry, ladies and gentlemen, like the old Leafs-Montreal rivalry, because again, you don't have Beliveau, you don't have Richard, you don't have Frank Mahovlich, you don't have Davey Keon, even Eddie Shack, John Ferguson, where they would fight. So what I want you to do is go on YouTube. You can find some highlights of the 63-64 season, or of any of Toronto's 3 straight. And I give credit where credit's due. Those Toronto teams were, again, some of the best money teams that pro sports has ever saw, because they would keep their best play for the playoffs. And I tell you why. When you got somebody like Tim Horton, again, that regular season really, he didn't show his best. As soon as the playoffs pucks were dropped, he would. And George Armstrong, all those points against Montreal in that 7-game series, quite impressive, because Armstrong was, he was uncanny of getting, being in the right place at the right time, especially with Keon. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here with our vintage podcast, let us know. Give us a like, comment, subscribe. Give me your predictions of the Game 7. All I know is Toronto has not held a lead for 8 straight periods, including the overtimes. I don't know, 2 songs you want to sing, Ole Ole Ole, or the sweet version for the Habs fans of Na 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 Hey Hey Goodbye. When a team that's supposed to win doesn't win, and the team that everybody hates thinks should lose wins, start your singing, because you never know when the ghosts of the forum will rise up and really fuck you over. Say like Toronto. Have a good day. Bye.